Week 5 featured some exciting performances by emerging players around the league. I've got a special guest to discuss some standouts this week. Mr. Savage himself, Chicago Tigers captain Calvin Savage. Welcome, welcome, Calvin.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Nate. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You guys are right in the middle of everything right now, so I appreciate you taking some time to chat with me. So I don't know if you know this, but you're the number one player in terms of value per game in the league right now. That is runs above replacement player per game for your team. That's great stuff. So you also have a pretty good team behind you, don't you?
Yeah, we've got an amazing group of guys who I don't think the country knew that we were capable of this. I think a lot of our guys weren't available for last year's minor league. And then I think we picked a really good squad there who people don't know about, who are actually seriously good cricketers. And I think like our strength is it's not our couple of professional players that are doing it. It's so many of our amateurs week in and week out who are standing up. It's different people standing up. I don't think you see any of us really in the top 10 of bowling or batting or anything, but you'll see a whole bunch of us in like 10 to 5 who have done so much consistently. And it's someone doing it in every single game. Someone's doing it. So that as a captain, that's so good to see as well because it takes a lot of stress off. If Saad doesn't come off, I know our amateurs are turning up and doing really good stuff, and they've done it in the past, and they've felt that pressure, and they've embraced it, and they've done really well. So that's a really good sign from with how we going.
Yeah, I think you're right. I see Karen Kamara as one of the players that he was a productive player last year. He's in your team this year. I'm sure he feels happy to have actually a team around him this year. Last year he kind of had to be everything to his team. So but yeah, there's some excellent players. But let's talk about some of the emerging standouts this week. Emerging players as we define them are U19s and U21s. First of all, Apurva Maheshram from New England Eagles scored 62 runs from 46 in his 2 innings. Bhaskarapan Ganasakathi took 4 wickets for Orlando. Danish Patel scored 82 from 67 for Manhattan in 2 games. And Matthew Comrie continues to produce in Florida with 4 wickets from his 2 games. So he's had some really steady production lately. But finally, we're going to get to who's obviously the winner. I mean, you're the guest, so there goes the suspense. But the winner being Sammy Sahel, 4 wickets in a win over Michigan, and he took some really big wickets in that game, didn't he?
And it wasn't even surprising, to be honest. He's been under pressure this whole season. He's been so good. There's so many games where we've needed him to bowl the last over. Either we bowl it first or at the back end to win us the game, and he's done it. He's done it so well. Turning out the performance that he did this weekend against some really good players, it wasn't like an oh wow, I couldn't believe this had just happened. I was definitely he's the kind of player that I would expect to do these kind of things. It wasn't a shock, and I would say every other Tigers player would agree with me on that.
Yeah. Well, he's got probably the best facial hair in the U21 group. So not not too surprised to see him so maturely. But what an excellent game. That is a tight race. That's a very important game for you guys. You lose that game, the playoff picture looks very different. As of right now, I was talking to Tom Nielsen on the episode that published yesterday about your team's playoff chances, and you have a 45% chance to advance, I believe, compared to Michigan having a slightly bigger chance to advance. So beating them was humongous. If you hadn't beaten them, it would have been a steep climb. You and I have talked about the strength of the Stars is their top order batting, and he took out both of their openers in that innings. And when you play against the Stars, you have to have deep bowling because they're going to usually survive the power play, and they're going to do it at a pretty good run rate as well.
Yeah, 100%. With the ebbs and flows of that game, I think they were on like 100 after 10 overs. They were going really well, and he turned the games. He got 2 in the middle that were big players that he got out, and then every time he came back on, he got a crucial wicket every single time. That's like the kind of role that I've been trying to play, and he did it up again. There was another guy who stood up. That is such a good strength of our team. If it's not me standing up or another guy standing up and doing what needs to be done, because we were looking at over 200 there comfortably, and to restrict them to I think 173, a hell of a lot was that down to him and our other bowlers who bowled at the death. It gave us a manageable target, which we ended up chasing with it over to spare. So now I was very chuffed with the way the guys fought back. That's the kind of team that we've spoken about wanting to be. That the way we explain it is that if we get punched in the mouth, we're not going to just step back. We're going to keep punching back and fighting back. We don't care who we play against. If I've got my small youngster or my most experienced pro, and we're going up
Right.
against their most experienced pro, I want my guys to always step up and take the fight to them, no matter who they're playing against, and then no matter who they are either.
Right. And so, Sammy plays for Malawi, which, I'm a big fan of the associate cricket. You said he's played against Uganda, which is no easy team to play against. Uganda plays a lot of T20 international cricket. They of all the associates, they're one of the teams that's played the most T20I cricket. So, I'm sure that international experience for him already at this age has helped him out quite a bit.
Yeah, 100%. You can see the guy's a naturally talented player, and he sort of, with the right direction, he understands his game a lot more than most 20-year-olds do, which helps a hell of a lot. And he's very receptive. He always wants to get better. He listens to a lot of advice from senior players and all of that. He's a bit of a sponge, which is really good. He's not a youngster who just wants to do his own thing. He keeps on wanting to get better. That's like one of his best attributes. He always wants to get better. And if he doesn't do really well, even if we win the game, he's sometimes a little bit too hard on himself, and I tell him just to relax. It's still just a game of cricket, and don't forget your good performances. I think he sometimes forgets how well he's done for us, and he does poorly once, he gets down on himself. But he bounces back so well every single time. I've been very proud of how he's gone about it.
Yeah, that's a really big trait. I know a lot of these guys on the USA U19 team are there because that's one of the reasons they're on that team. I've seen most of those guys have a bad game. Everybody has a bad game sometimes. It's cricket,
Yeah,
sometimes you just go against someone who's having a really good game. So for every guy that's having a really good game, there's usually somebody having a really bad game. And the ability to bounce back, that's what makes a player great. And that's what, especially if you're going to bowl in the death, it's not just, are you good enough to bowl in the death? It's, are you good enough to bowl in the death, get hit and come back the next game and bowl in the death without worry, you know?
100% agree. Cricket's a game where I think I spoke about it in South Africa. I didn't speak about it. Someone spoke to me about it as an experienced player. I think you only succeed in cricket 1 out of 3 times if you're an international quality player.
Sure.
So, I mean, think about how much you fail. You don't fail as much as like a baseball batter fails, but you fail so often. You have to be able to deal with failure all the time. There's not a steady of how you do all the time. It's very much ebbs and flows and ups and downs all the time. So you have to be able to bounce, or you're just not going to be able to get to obviously, you're not going to achieve the goals you want to achieve if you can't accept that's just how the game's going to go as well. As a
Right.
youngster, I would always be way too hard on myself when something didn't go my way or I bowled a bad ball in that, and I quickly learned to just let it go. I'm like, I can't change it. I might as well just bounce back and not be too upset with how things are going, and just keep bouncing back the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to be able to do that in order to learn. You have to fail sometimes. And playing in those key situations, nothing's going to help you better than that. If you have the fortitude to press on when you fail. All right, Calvin, you've got some really important games coming up this weekend against some teams that do have some pretty good youth players. You got the Mustangs, the Dallas Mustangs coming up on Saturday, and the Lone Star Athletics coming up on Sunday. Both of those games at Musa Stadium, just south of Houston in Texas. These are big games. These kind of must wins for you. Actually, everything from here on out is kind of a must win for you. You only have 4 games left. You've got Lone Star twice, and then you have the Chicago Blasters ending the season against your I guess crosstown rival. So what are your thoughts going into Musa? How's the team feeling right now?
Yeah, I think the team's feeling really good after our win last weekend against Michigan. That was 100% a pivotal moment in our season. After having lost to St. Louis and then getting rained out on Sunday against Michigan, that game was so pivotal. We lose that, I think we would have to get lucky to qualify. Winning 3 more of the next 4, we'd have to get lucky. Probably have to win every game going in. Now, it gives us a little bit of breathing room. Yeah, some other teams have got games in hand, but they need to still win those games. So that we've won them already. So
Right.
I'm happy where we are. So yeah, I think going into Musa, I think if we can adapt to the conditions as quickly as possible, obviously playing against 2 Texas sides who play there a lot, I don't think anyone on our team, including myself and Saad, have even played at Musa. So I think we need to be able to adapt. I'll definitely watch a bit of footage on how the pitch is starting to play over the last week. I think it's obviously it's the height of summer there, so I would imagine it's getting drier and drier, so a little bit slower and slower and turning more and keeping a bit lower. So to just watch a bit of footage so I can just give some feedback to our boys and understand the game plan that we want to go about be completely different to how we go about things in Chicago.
You and I have talked about some of the Dallas youngsters. Ali Sheikh,
Yeah.
Sawyer Selvakumar. They've got some very good young players down there. And obviously they have some very good veteran players as well. Right now, Corey Anderson, obviously, but Sujith Gowda has been batting well. We expect a lot of things from him. He's a very good player. Burt Cockley, of course, is one of the leaders down there. He's got the team. He tells me the team has a great attitude right now. And then, of course, Nosh Kenjigi, one of my favorite guys, left arm, orthodox, all rounder, heck of an attitude, hard worker. I talk about him all the time, but but yeah, his batting has really come alive this year. He's striking at a 150 rate. Fantastic. So they're getting it from everywhere right now. They're definitely a formidable opponent. And then you got Lone Star, who has just gotten Laksh Parekh back, who's performed pretty well so far in the couple of games he's played. So you've got your work cut out for you, as you've said. But like you said, you've already got the wins. It's kind of scoreboard pressure right now for you guys as far as Michigan is concerned. They have to go out and earn the wins that you already have.
Yeah, 100%. As I said, going into this weekend, I think a big check in our like a big feather in our cap was that we managed to beat Dallas and Chicago after they'd gone 5 from 5. So I think our boys saw what they were capable of. I think that kind of set us up. Then play Houston the next day with a lot of big names as well, and then we beat them comfortably. So I think winning those games showed a lot of our guys who hadn't played against caliber of players like they did on that weekend gave so much confidence. So going down there, going back against Dallas again, we've beaten them once before, and we know they're a very good team. I know that. I also know that. But our boys won't be shying away from the fight, and they will definitely be up for it. And I don't think we won't go into the game overconfident having won, but I don't think we'll be shy away and think that we are a massive underdog either. I think we found that we are a team that can win, and in the beginning, when I spoke to our team, we were like, "Hey, listen, we didn't have a good last year. Let's go out there and fight for every little thing," and kind of a bit of an underdog chat. The narrative has changed for us. Changed for us now. We are expected to, and we expect of ourselves. I don't really care what anyone else expects of us, but we expect a very high standard from ourselves. And if we let it slip, we always find a way to gain it back. So that's the kind of attitude we're going. We're not going with the attitude of we're the underdogs and we're lucky to win kind of thing now. I think we've shown that we're a team that you don't want to take lightly whatsoever.
Definitely. You definitely have surprised a lot of people. I had talked to a couple of players from your team heading into the season. Everybody seemed to think that the team was going to do well, and you really have shown that. So congratulations on how you've done so far. Keep up the good work. This is probably the playoff race I'm most interested in. I mean, I'm interested in all of them, but this is the one to me that's really, really close, really exciting. We have the potential to have so many new teams in the playoffs this year that weren't in the playoffs last year, and that's especially true in the Central, where it looks like we're going to have 2 new teams from the Central in the playoffs. So best of luck to you and your guys, and thank you for joining me.
Cheers, thanks, Ned. I appreciate it. Always good to have a chat.
Awesome.